Welcome to another edition of Monday Match Points. I'm Jeff Stouse here at the NSAA, and I have Ken Pitkin and Craig Weedle with me as well today. I just want to go over a couple more topics as we start another week of the volleyball season. What I really want to stress is that the application for officiating the postseason is quickly coming. That deadline is October 7th. And so for those of you that are looking to work in the postseason this year, or at least are interested in doing so, make sure you get that application filled out on the NSA website on your officials login page prior to the 7th. What I would tell you is if you've already submitted that, please make sure that what you submitted is still accurate. Trying to put those officials assignments together, as I see Craig and Ken nodding, is quite a puzzle. And so we want to have as accurate of information as we can as we start looking at making those assignments and getting those out to folks. So if you haven't submitted and you're looking that you're interested in doing so, please do so. And if you have already submitted it, please double check and make sure that your availability remains to be the same. So with that, Ken, go ahead.
Okay, what I want to talk about today is just something that happens probably in almost every set at some point. So the server serves the ball and it's on a serve receive. And on the serve receive, if the first pass is really tight to the net. So you obviously, as the R1, or if you're tracking your front, and even the R2, tracking your front row from back row, you have to know what the setter can do. And I guess even if the setter's in the front row, the same rule would apply. But if the ball passes completely over the net, the setter legally cannot go completely over the net to play the ball to retrieve it, to bring it back to her attacker. Once a ball is passed completely over the net, the ball cannot be attacked or touched unless it's a block when no one else is around and the attack is complete. But the setter cannot go up if the ball is completely over the net on the other side and retrieve the ball and set it to her attacker. If she does, that's signal 5, which is simply over the net. It's signal 5. Now, what happens more than that, probably or more often, is that the setter goes up to set the ball and the ball's in the plane of the net, over the net and in the plane of the net. That ball legally can be played by either team. If she's a back row setter and her opponent or a player from the other side touches or takes that ball and touches it into the setter's hands while the ball is completely above the plane of the net, then we have a back row block on the setter. We have an illegal block because she's back row. She cannot contact the ball above the plane of the net to finish the attack, or it's blocked back into her. That's considered a block. So just simplifying it, a setter cannot retrieve a ball totally on the other side and bring it back. And if it's a back row setter, she cannot, if the ball is pushed into her hands while she's above the plane of the net and the ball touches her there, then we have a back row block. Hopefully that will clear some things up. Craig, what do you have?
Yes, I just wanted to talk quickly about the playable areas, and also if you call a touch or an out signal. One of the questions I've been getting a lot this week is regarding playable areas and whether or not you call a touch or if you call out. And so one of the things I really encourage all of you to do is when you first walk into the gym, make sure you do a walk around the gym to see what is in a playable area and what is not in a playable area. So when a ball does hit it, for example, you know what you're going to do. So just really quick, a couple things as far as backboards. If the backboards are down and they're in a playable area and the ball hits it, you are immediately going to blow your whistle dead and call a replay. And at that time, you're going to decide one of two things. One, if you feel someone was there to play the ball, you will call a replay on it. But if you feel that the ball was going to go out of bounds, then you're going to still call it out. So that's one of the things. That's as far as a basketball goal that's down. Now, there's also a lot of times the basketball goals on the sides are up. So what you need to do is determine based on if they're in a playable area or not. And then if they are in a playable area, there may be part of it that is in and part of it that's not. You got to determine what you're going to call or like kind of what your line is as far as if it's going to be in or out of bounds. So that's one thing I really would encourage all of you to look at, especially when you walk into a gym if you're not familiar with it. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about with that is whether or not you call a touch or an out signal. which is, I think, to end a play. And I think a lot of times, especially for newer refs, it's one of those signals. It's like, okay, do I call out or touch? But I'm going to give you a scenario that I want to talk about just to get you guys kind of understanding. So the serving team serves the ball, the receiving team passes the ball, and when they pass the ball hits the ceiling on the receiving team's side and then goes out of bounds on the receiving team's side. That signal is going to be a touch and not out. So that would be that example. Now, for example, let's say that you pass the ball, that the receiving team passes the ball, hits the ceiling, and then goes over the net to the serving team side, then that would be out. So I guess the main point I'm trying to make here is that if it's touched, either that you pass the ball and it's shanked into the bleachers on your same side, or it hits the ceiling and goes out of bounds on your same side, that's going to be a touch. But as soon as it crosses the center line or crosses the net, then it's going to be an out signal. So that's just something that I think a lot of times, especially as newer officials, they're like, okay, which signal do you use? So that's just kind of what I wanted to talk about today.
I guess to wrap this up, I would say we've been doing these videos now for 2 years. This is our second year going through these, and two of the topics that we talked about today in terms of bringing the ball back over as a setter, and then also what role or what the call can be depending on where a backboard is. Those are topics that we covered last year. And so I think it's good that we're able to, get on and discuss these things, because we all need a little bit of a refresher from time to time on these rules, because situation may apply itself just a little bit differently than maybe it did last year at this time, because obviously there are still questions about those things. So hopefully that's helpful information. It's been an interesting start to our season. We've had a lot of great competitions, had some interesting questions that have come in that maybe we didn't see last year, but then obviously today we've had some of those questions that we've heard before, and we just wanted to be able to go over some of those things again and provide that information for everybody. So thanks for all of you for tuning in, whether it was today, tomorrow, or maybe a month from now, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.